Greetings. Y'all gonna just have to enjoy the back screen, but let me see. It's got a position. Will I charge with it? Oh, it will actually. Anywho, no power charging there. Give my honest assurance to the Most High for making all this possible. You're probably gonna hear planes and stuff, but anywho, I probably could change the background for y'all, but I don't even know if y'all probably pick up all the sounds of the bugs and stuff. I just decided to do this in the car because it's just what it is. Other than that, let's give an honor to source, to the creator, the ancestors known and unknown, on this beautiful Sunday, summer day before we head into autumn where all the leaves fall away. Harvest season, as they say. What's so significant about this right now because I hope that the wind is not gonna. What's so significant about right now is like I'm noticing so much of like I'm authentic. The elbow was bothering me, but it is. Anywho, I'm really, it could be just me, but I'm really noticing in this Virgo season, I'm getting so much clarity through my exchanges with people, through my experiences of seeing things so clearly, so clearly. Let me look this up. I'm actually see what actually Virgo, something my daughter was watching. Virgo season. Let's see here. Virgo meaning. Let's see here. Earth signs. Okay, Mercury. Oh, this makes a lot of sense why I've been wanting to do even more videos now. Because of the clarity I've been getting. Okay, so this is very significant. Y'all probably can see that. Virgo is the earth sign ruled by Mercury. Characterized by a focus on precision, practicality, organization, and a strong desire for service through sometimes manifesting as perfectionism and critical tendency. Oh, what was that I pulled up the other day? I don't know how much battery I have, but I always save stuff. No, it's not what I wanted to click on. Let me see, what was it? That was sent to me. What was that? It was something about perfectionism. But it's so interesting that I said that. I'm gonna actually come back to this. Y'all just follow me here. Okay. Like I said, at a point in time I wasn't like into so much of astrology. But it's just so interesting that I like to research. I love to learn new things. Practical approach, deep-seated desires to be useful and helpful to others. A strong drive to excellence and improvement can make them perfectionists. Sometimes lead into excessive criticality, or worry. A grounding in the material world, often seen as a deep and systematic. Okay. Mercury, a planet of communication and ability to process and organize information clearly. Ooh, when I say I'm getting so much clarity, let's say like for me, when I really reflect on like the last 6 months of my life, and like so from the last 6 months, which is January, February, what is this? August. So we're literally at the end of August. So this is so wild. January, February, March, April, May, June, July. So like the last 6 months, August, July, June. That's it. Okay, so around March, I want to say April, March, and that's where spring is. So when you look through like what have you, the reason why this is so significant for me is like when I look at the last 6 months, like what's very significant for me is like what points out for me is the integrity through a lot of things. What's been made clear and what's clear right now for me, even like what I've been noticing with me, I've been seeing a lot of energy play out, because if you have been following me and so forth, just through my experience of like the shelter experience, the connecting to people, the reminding myself of like how much I need to stay grounded. Now I'm realizing like to stay grounded in my integrity, in the authenticity and so forth. And what I've got a lot of clarity of is like the more and more I stay authentic, it really highlights everything that's inauthentic. Like as far as like I'm able now to see so many versions of me through other people, if that makes sense. Like I'm able to honestly see the old, outdated versions of me in other people, meaning like the energy, not just the personal gender. I'm able to see like the aspects of, without judgment, seeing what I no longer would tolerate because of I've had to face, you know, a healing journey, or what I no longer would accept. And, you know, this comes with doing the inner work, doing the reconstructing in life. And so now I feel even more grounded, even when no one accepts or believes it but me, if that makes sense. So that's the beauty of life. I realized, like, I was just talking to someone and they're in a marriage or whatever, but at the same moment I'm telling myself, like, when I look at how things are evolving and through tradition and me being a millennium, I'm telling myself, like, do I have to take on that? No. But hearing what they're going through, and I'm not saying all marriages is like this, but just the breakdown, just the contract, just the things where people don't realize, like, once you agree to that, it's still a spiritual thing just as much as it's a physical. And so for me, I'm looking at the everything practically from all different levels, not overthinking, but more like, this is why I see why I wouldn't have done this, or this is why I'd rather focus on a relationship with myself, or focus on a business partnership and relationship more with myself as of now, so that I can build more things healthily. Because I'm able to recognize when I'm hearing other people's situation. Again, I don't know all the details, but it gives me clarity on why it is I right now have to focus on what's beneficial for me, especially during Virgo season, because it highlights a lot of wellness. And, you know, it mentioning how it being ruled by communication, like Gemini, you know, those, what is it called? I forgot. There's something behind, like, the reason of, not a fixed sign, but it's something else. But it just, as I'm sitting back and observing more, I realize like how much I'm recognizing to, when there is communication with someone, I don't need to take on their narrative. I don't need to, you know, as you grow or become more mature, centered in self, or, you know, reconstruct your foundations. If you've been following me, I've been really talking about like the mother wound. I've been really talking about how much that has reconstructed my lifestyle, how much that has recreated my outlook on life. And so with that, now I have more of a grounded approach as the seasons progress. if that makes sense. So notice like every season there is an how could I say, hold on one second. So yeah, as the seasons change, you're able to recognize like exactly why it is you're where you are, and then now having more of a grounded approach. Now, what I mean by that, like let's say 6 months ago, 6 years ago, and so forth, my mindset was completely different. My perspective was completely different. My approach to life was completely different. Being that it was that, I have to look at how has my life and what have I done internally to evolve not only my mindset, my emotions, but my approach on life. Is it more stable? And I can say yes, and that's the thing about what I be mentioning about the healing journey, or becoming more self-reliant, self-sufficient, being more stable in my approach, being more balanced in my lifestyle and how I interact and what I choose to accept. This doesn't mean like I don't have fun. This just means like I'm recognizing the season I'm in, where even with having kids, or even with having a partner, even with the transition that I'm in, if I don't learn now what it is that I need to pay attention to, if I don't learn now how to see the mother wounds and heal that, and how that's connected to my outlook on life, my approach as a father, my approach as a partner, my approach as a friend, whatever perspective, then I won't be able, well, it's not that I won't, but it'll prevent me from actually progressing forward and evolving not only who I am, but everyone else that is around me. And so what's so significant about autumn right now is that as we shift and you see the leaves change colors, you see everything start to wither away, the climate changes. Notice that even people's mindset changes to their approach of life. Certain responsibilities may change. What else? There's basically you have to adapt. And through different seasons, every season is different. It holds the energy. So like Virgo season, again, it's a mercurial or Mercury sign, to where again a earth energy. But ask yourself, am I grounded in my mind? And that's one thing I realized I had to be, that was being restored from having a survival mindset. And not only just a survival mindset, but having a mindset to where it was so cluttered, it wasn't so clear. So how could I speak clearly? Then not only Virgo being a earth sign, or a grounded mercurial sign of communication, it's the stableness in how am I speaking to myself. I'm grounded, I'm safe, I'm secure, because the communication, the emotions, all those astrological things like the signs hold an energy. And in certain seasons, I'm recognizing like, wow, okay, in Virgo, with all these things that's happening, how could I have a grounded approach? How could I be centered? How could I feel safe? What have I been doing consistently? What do I need to change within myself, or how can my outlook be completely different? So with that, I ask myself like, whoa, okay, this season is Virgo. We're in the autumn. Things are falling away. Okay, am I going to, if I don't have if my mind isn't at a place where it's a priority, like for my wellness, like my communication and how I speak to myself, then anxiety can be a thing, or over analytical, or if I don't have a balance between structuring my finances, or having an analytical approach, or a more precise approach to what it is that I'm creating. Am I having a game plan to build for the next 6 months, 6 years, 16 months, so forth like that? Because as the seasons change, my reminder to you and reminder to myself is that you are that same tree that is grounded no matter what season. So when the seasons change and shift, so does your mindset. But you have to stay rooted in your truth, and your truth is that integrity. that truth, your integrity is the roots of the base of that tree. And see, that's the thing, what keeps us grounded, no matter how the seasons change, no matter what falls away, who falls away, no matter, then you're able to recognize even the patterns from the last 6 months. What have I done right now? And that's the thing I'm able to recognize with even people from who's been in my life through the transition of from March, the last 6 months and so forth. During these seasons, what have I planted so that I know I can receive my harvest? What have I, and the reason why I say the fruit is because what have you planted that you know you'll reap from the intentions of when you planted that seed. It's funny how I have fruit right here. So it's like, let me see. It's just funny because one of them looked good, and then the other one kind of got like, looks kind of like rotten and stuff. See, the funny thing about this, I'm glad this is in here. This one, of course, will be more edible, right? But this one right here, you look at it, and even though externally it may look like it may not have value, they both have seeds, but one can be more beneficial, if that makes sense. One can nourish you, and the other one can be rotten to you spiritually. It's just like, this is a representation of people. I heard the elder say, pick your fruit like you pick your friends. And the one thing I've been learning through the transition of the last 5, 6, 7 years, 3 years and so forth, is that you are the tree, you produce the fruit. Now the intention behind the seed that you planted is the fruit that you will harvest. Now sometimes we get caught up on how things look externally, but don't realize the value of the seed internally. So the beauty of that is, this can be a representation of me, like the scars that you may see, my teeth, things that I got on my body, the tattoos. These can be a representation of that, but you will never know the value of that person until you will actually peel back the layers. You will never know what's inside until you actually peel back the layers. And this is like representation of our relationships. If we're in a relationship, these are two people, and they're more focused externally how people look. Eventually, if you let these oranges sit here long enough, it'll change over time, and they won't look the same. Not only that, what is the substance and value of the orange? And see, that's the thing most of us don't realize that we have within us, which is a seed, which is like the seed of the soul or the spirit that's within us. So if these oranges are not peeling back layers of themselves, getting to know layers of themselves and realize the importance of what's within them, then you'll just keep looking at each other from this, and that will be just it. It's from a surface level. So the thing about life, what it hasn't shown us, is that the importance of, you never know someone when you truly meet them. And as you get to know them, you realize you have to really get to know more of yourself before you actually get to know this person. Because one thing I've accepted in a lot of these transitions lately here, these transformations, these rebirths through seasons, there's people that come and go. And there's also people assigned on your journey, like your kids, for instance. They are assigned on your journey for whatever duration. There's also, let's say, that, like, you know how they say season change, and people are here for a reason in a season. That's one thing I became very clear on. Let me see. Yeah, it's gonna be a short one because I got 20%. But anywho, that's the thing that I've been recognizing, even through like the transition of like what's been going on with how, like, I'm gonna break this down. This is gonna be very significant. It's like, I'm the tree in my life, right? I hold knowledge, I hold certain wisdoms, I hold within me. It's like I'm the tree, but I also produce fruit. And that fruit is based off the base of that, the roots. Basically, the roots that I come from as a tree is like that of connected to ancestrally, my lineage and so forth. So what I present to you in life on a surface level, whether unintentionally or intentionally, whether unseen or seen, is not just who I am, but that is always changing. Or if I'm willing to evolve, I'll be able to realize, like, the more I peel back layers of myself, learn more about me, my ancestry, learn more about how could I embrace this experience, how could I build and expound on connecting more with others, and so forth. Those layers also teach me a part of myself that I probably was once afraid of. Those layers also teach me a part of life where I wanted to hide away from a part of myself. I wanted to hide away from people because of certain relationships, certain things. Those layers are basically layers of childhood into adulthood, into, elderhood, if you want to, that's something I just created. But anywho, but that, again, that fruit that I produce, that I give, that I share with, not necessarily belongs to me, but it's almost like an extended aspect of me from my mother and father, just like their mother and father. So that's why I bring in, like, the aspect of, like, you being a tree through certain seasons. There were times where life hit you, and for some of us, it's like, the tree could have fell over, but at the same time, it was still grounded. For some of us, the tree could have stood tall. But then some of us in certain seasons where I have to learn that if I don't protect my essence, which is like the roots of what I've come from, and, be mindful of where and who I serve my energy to, who I give and so forth, the mindfulness in that, because the reason I mention that is because you have people who do not produce fruit that is prosperous, who do not produce things that are intentionally for the greater good. There are people who produce rotten fruit. And what is rotten fruit? To me, rotten fruit is someone who's unconscious of what they're doing, who is not aware that whatever they're sharing with the world, giving to the world, giving to our children, and so forth, will and shall have an effect on them. That's just like if you go eat a rotten piece of fruit, you're going to upchuck it. You're going to throw it up. You're going to spit it out. So imagine we've been given through seasons of our life from childhood to adulthood. We've been force-fed spiritually, mentally, emotionally, things that we now have to regurgitate. We had to, spit it up and so forth. And this is how I look at what healing is generationally, intergenerationally. We were force-fed, let's say, certain things like religion, certain things that kept our mind limited. We were force-fed things in a way to where we could no longer keep it down, especially those who prioritize wellness right now. We could no longer keep it down because even though we could not speak amongst certain elders, we still made a choice to come here. We still made a choice to create something to where it's the fruit that we're producing because of the awareness around what we try to keep down generationally, whether it's intergenerational traumas, ancestral, suppressed and repressed emotion. That is the rottenness that has at the core been keeping us stagnant, keeping us unstable, keeping a cycle of instability going, and so forth. You catch my drill. So now, again, I had to recognize it doesn't mean that people aren't valuable to their core. It's just the fact of being that we've been in a society where it's consumed most of focusing on the surface rather than what's internal. Then that's the generation where I tell you we come from generations that have been rotting from the inside out. And this is why they hold on to so many things to where they're more focused on the material, how things look, but never the internal. Never the internal, meaning that within this orange is a seed. That means within the little girl and the boy produces through his, sperm, eventually will have a child, or the essence of him, his spirit, his soul, also, just like a little girl holding her eggs when she was young, or even in the womb with her mother, having eggs and so forth. The mindset on that automatically tells you that it doesn't matter what that child looks like or that little boy looks like on the surface. On a deeper level, how is that child and how will that child be nourished from the inside out? Then that you will realize what type of fruit is supposed to be served. Then we'll be able to recognize, oh my gosh, this person is in my life. I know what type of tree they are. And it's like when people don't have knowledge of self or learning through experience, then that is a tree. What I'm giving you is like a sister is saying, like, spiritual food. This is spiritual food right now. This is not something you can buy in a book. Well, I could, if I put it in a book, you could, but even with that, that's still a part of currency. But what I'm getting at is like, or energy. What I'm getting at is more so like, again, the aspect around us recognizing what we have been fed from generations that has been causing us, what I'm on, 18%, rotting from the inside out. It can no longer be ignored. What has been causing me so much distress in my body? What has been causing me so much discomfort, dis-ease, and so forth? Other than trying to treat it and numb it, no, I'm not going to keep it down. I've said about the left side of the body, more and more my body has been showing me, the matriarchal and the patriarchal. More and more, like, I'm telling you, as I heal this, I know those who are aware. More and more, bro, as I fucking heal, like, face mother wounds and talk about this stuff, listen, my left side has been kicking my ass in a way to where, again, I've been sitting down more, resting more. So if you had over the years developed a chronic nervous system or a dysregulated nervous system, your body is going to show it. But just imagine, I've been watching elders. I've been telling y'all the past 6 months, I've been sitting back watching very people who've been trying to convince me to do what they've done. Their opinions, to try to tell me do this and do this and do that. And I'll sit back and I'll watch and I'm like, bro, you keep wanting me to do this and you in so much distress. You in overhaul. You trying to perfect life. Even more so during Virgo season. You will see the perfectionism, trying to do things perfect, trying to look perfect. And that's what, if you look at society today, it's all the concept gaining the material security and even looking secure. I don't know who need to hear that, bro. It's like emphasis on looking secure. And that's one thing I had to realize, like, even this shelter experience or through life, these transitions, it's like, yes, I like to present myself, but then I had to ask myself, if there's one thing I learned through certain fucking demographics, if you're around insecure people who don't know, who have knowledge of themselves, they will try to impress other people. And this is in all cultures. This has come from society where they have tried to look secure. Let me dress up. Let me look secure or perfect. Let me look as stable as possible. And what does that even look like? See, we have an idea, we have an image of what stability looks like. And I've been around people whose shoes may not have been as clean as mine and so forth. I've been around people and in the presence of people, as I've told y'all before, it's okay to express yourself through your artistry, through how you want to present yourself. But one thing I'm realizing, like, through the wellness, the highlighting wellness, is that there are people who very much so hide behind image. There are very much so people who don't, who have it, who don't want to dress up. But if they could, if they wanted to, they would. But what I'm getting at is, then again, I'm looking at two generations where this is a generation that is present of, this will be your baby boomers. This will be, the generation that's now and coming after us. Is that a lot of us have got consumed in image. And when you see how what has been pushed out there, it's been pushed out there to prey on the wounding of the fact of not to look more secure, but not really be secure within inside. And that's something personally that I had to work 17%, that I had to focus on more of myself, because I talked about in my previous videos that you see people unconsciously trying to gain a sense of security and ignore the internal stability, the internal security. And one thing I've been sitting back and recognize is, like, even with some men, some, not all, and women, is that the illusion is that they'll give off this security, but then I'll see their body, they'll be going through something, and I'll be like, whoa, you really going through more. I'm just rubbing my leg, y'all. I'm telling you, like I said, that healing that mother wound is very, like, it's a lot of things coming up. It's really teaching me to rest more and to honor my feelings and emotions, to relax more, and so forth. And the reason I say that is because, again, like I said, I've been seeing a lot of elders. It's like if you really sit and observe and pay attention, you'll see the energies play out. The energies play out, like, differently in other people that reminded me of, like, a grandmother, a great-grandmother, a mom, and so forth. I'll sit back and be like, whoa. I see it play out in people who will say they're okay, but literally still being passive-aggressive due to the fact of their positioning and so forth. And I'll see them want to pull me. If you're able to recognize, they're trying to pull you into what is called karma, because they'll pull you into lessons that you don't have to repeat, if that makes sense. That's one of the greatest things I've learned throughout this journey. It's like and being fucking real and authentic. It's like, even the discipline, like, of partnership relationships, becoming more healthier for yourself, those are vices. As you evolve and learn more lessons, it's not about being perfect, it's about discipline. I'm not gonna sit and say, hey, go cold turkey over, certain things. No, it's a discipline in it, because you'll realize over time, well, what I realized, like, over time, you'll just go away from it eventually completely. Sometimes you'll return to it, but that's your life. I'm not here to judge. But what I've noticed is how the energy of the old world will try to pull me back in, even when I've been shown a vision of what I was coming into. Even if it don't make sense to nobody, I've been sitting here like, bro, I gotta really, like, pay attention right now, and to really be mindful of the fact of who's getting removed, who's really pouring into me, and the reciprocity, who's watering, the grounds that I'm creating, and then, basically the importance of reciprocity. And so with that, I've noticed, like, certain things that try to seep in, energy, people, certain new people will come in, and I'll immediately hear a conversation. I'll just be immediately like, oh my gosh, this is going to be draining. I know a lot of us been in like, oh my god, this is going to be draining. It's not the person. Look, I love you, I appreciate you sharing it with me, but certain conversations remind me why it is I'm where I am, if that makes sense to whomever. It'll literally remind you, like, oh my gosh, no matter what no one told me, I know this is exactly what I'm supposed to be, because, bro, the energy, the things they'll talk about immediately remind me of what I've already learned my lessons from. And that's the thing about learned and learnt. It's like, oh, you can be learning a lesson through it, but I'm like, oh, I've learned this lesson before. So when certain people show up, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm definitely not finna go through this again. I'm glad I have an understanding and overstanding of who I am, and being able to have a partnership and so forth, even if it don't make sense, because for some of us, due to the instant gratification of things, and due to the fact that we don't want to accept that this economic system is changing, and it's not working for us in ways that it would, this is where you get very creative. This is where you get grounded on your approach. This is where you lock in. It's like the fourth quarter. This is where things can come. And I'm not going to encourage it, say, like, it won't get discouraging. It will, but that's when you lock in even more, because, like, that's where the consistency and persistence comes in. I'm sitting here like, bro, man, what could I do? Like, I was going to go to the library and do this in there. I said, nah, you know what? It wasn't even open. I didn't know that, so let me do it in the car. Cool. But it's still making time for myself to be able to pour, because this is pouring into myself, but it's also pouring into the collective. But it's still the beauty around, like, I don't have to force. I can, again, a lot of things are going to come up. I was going back to, like, you being able to recognize people are trees, and when they're unconscious, and when they're not on the same wavelength, it can be detrimental if you're able to recognize it, because if you let it go on too long, are you going to really see the fact of how it's affecting you? And that's the beauty of, like, seeing the fruit that people produce. And it's no difference than you being in a relationship or connection with someone, a country, environment, a community. What is the collective energy there? And that's one thing I'm learning through this experience right here, 16%, is that I'm recognizing the collective energy. I was telling a brother, and this can be very triggering for a lot of people who aren't secure within themselves. One thing I'm recognizing, like, as a tree, I'm symbolizing, using this symbolism or this analogy, like, as a tree. I'm a tree, or I'm in this garden, right? I've had to water myself, and there's times where I have to get past my subconscious fears or get past my fear of expanding. And so I have to go and connect with people. So with that, I was like, if I'm learning these things now and receiving this, it's preparing me for a different lifestyle, a different mindset, a different approach on life. I couldn't remain, oh my God, it was a beautiful monarch butterfly. I could not remain the same with the same mindset and mentality 4 or 5 years ago with people I hung around. I literally went from being in crowds, but I was always very prominent on knowing that I was very secure within myself. I just realized who I was around, and not even just around, but the energy and the fruit that they were producing. It's no judgment on, the people. This monarch is clearly trying to show me the evolution of life, but that's the thing about also, again, if you're not able to recognize the fruit in your life, meaning that the reciprocity, what are people feeding you? What are you being fed? Who is in your inner circle? Is in the belief system, is authenticity, is love, is truth, the foundations of that connection. And one of the most challenging things through things as such is being in certain climates, being in certain environments like that. Resistance comes with that shit. Resistance comes through authority figures, family, friends, sometimes even spouse, sometimes siblings, things like that, because as you realize that, as you elevate and start to do the inner work, you will be called to higher timelines or to a more harmonious or even prosperous experience. Because for me to sit here, I know what I've done in the last 6 months. I don't know what everybody else done, but I can sit here, reflect, and say, like, 3 years ago, bro, not 3 years, but almost a year and a half ago, I did 3 books within a year. Now, what's so shocking, it's not even shocking for me, it's like when you realize, like, when you focus more on yourself in certain seasons, you will be able to be like, as you gradually come out of like that survival mentality, you'll realize, like, you're thriving and things become more effortless. I'm currently on my, like, 9th book. But with that, every book is a different version. I don't care if it was 5 to 6 pages. Every book was a different version. It has a different piece of art. It's from a different perspective, and it's a different energy. Now, some of the books were in different seasons, like, let's say spring and then summer. But with that, I also was building internally a foundation upon truth. I was being honest with myself. I was also taking and transmuting from my childhood experience, my childhood development, belief systems, because when you look at childhood development, there is a belief system that you develop into your career setting. And I was just telling the brother, I was like, bro, he was telling me how his spouse she grew up, she got grandma mentality. She grew up with grandma. I said, bro, I'm gonna be honest with you. That's her belief system. That's what we want to ignore, and that's why a lot of people are afraid to challenge the status quo, or afraid to step out into their own, developing their own belief systems about life. That means outside of religion. That means outside of the norm of what a man and woman should be, or even the fact of sexuality. There's so many different perspectives, to each their own. But this is why a lot of people are afraid. If you think that people before you did not have a belief systems and they went with it and built upon it, this is all throughout the world. I was telling my partner, I said, it's funny how I was like, I sit back and observe, like, there's so many churches and they're so divided. I said, for people to pretend as if you got churches and stuff that aren't predominantly darker or lighter shades of people, but you're supposed to serve this one creator or God or deity, whatever you want to call it, but yet you're so divided, and plus your morals and principles, the book is telling you what to be, but you don't even align with it internally. And if you did, the world would be more harmonious. The world would be more balanced if you really honor thy neighbor, or whatever it is, the commandments, however it goes. If you truly honor that, and then even saw it from a perspective of yourself, knowing who you are, honor yourself, honor thy neighbor, treat others like you want to be treated. But at the same time, that even in that phrase, how do you treat yourself? Is it even healthy? Do you even see yourself healthy? And when we look at that generation before, I tell y'all, when I was talking to the brother, he was saying how, his spouse believes in certain religious figures and he doesn't. And I keep telling y'all that life happens like that. To be mad at each other over something like that, I keep telling y'all certain things, like this lifetime for some of you, or this experience for some of you, you're going to probably come into this, what they call awakening, or conscious awareness of what you're supposed to do here. That will, you will have the opportunity to evolve or wither away with the old narrative, or stay stagnant, or even, like I was telling the brother, you would stay in something and it would create more resentment within you. You would build more rage. You would build more anger or frustration with that person, and simply because the energy is telling you that it's so expansive, or it's something that needs to be faced, whether within yourself. And until you see that, you will keep looping through the same cycle. It's not to say that you cannot elevate with this person. It's the fact of, that's how most partnerships or certain things, just like when I say partnership, it isn't just with, it's with self first, spirit, because we're evolving spiritually as a collective. So when that is said, our partnership with self, spirit and physical is changing, but also partnership with the earth. Those of you that know. That means having a more wellness and holistic approach towards how we treat ourselves, how we treat the earth, how we treat women, how we treat our children, how we treat men, the collective. And how do you do that? You have to see what has been spiritually rotting within us, laying dormant, unresolved, repressed for so long that our mothers and fathers, and guess what that does? That's how you progress a fucking lineage. That's how, for some of you, are going to step away. Even if you had kids with this person, that's fine. However, you have to create more harmony, because there won't be harmony with you if you don't have harmony between your spirit and your flesh. And what I mean by that is like the balance between the feminine and masculine principles. You have to go within, and if you ain't right within, how you gonna win in fucking life? And that's one thing that clicked for me. I'm like, bro, let me get me together inside. How the fuck am I told my partner the other day, I'm like, bro, I realized like certain things I have to step away from and not be around certain things, because I've acknowledged that if I can't be safe for myself, I don't be safe for y'all. And that's the thing where we don't realize. It's like we're talking about, if our mothers haven't feel safe, then they're trying to seek this security, or they're trying to find it through material, whether they know it unconsciously or not. They're more of a hindrance and a danger to themselves and everything around them. because they'll promote that through their children. They'll tell them to go to a university or school. And what you see today, y'all don't realize, like, the partnership of the spiritual and physical is evolving. Therefore, that's going to evolve how we receive information, project information, and so forth. That's going to change the trajectory on our lives. When you see things being more digitized, when you see the technology, when you see the AI, some people will be afraid because those elders resist the shift. So they will be afraid of an AI. They don't want to adjust or adapt. That's for us to do. Because I'm seeing it like AI is no different than anything else that has shifted. Woo, strong wind coming through. Oh wow, that was a huge one. Whoa, you talking about shift. That was a huge what do you call that? Like mini tornado thing. Whirlwind. Whoa, you talking about fast. And you know what? I'm gonna take that as a spiritual sign. That's how fast shit is happening. That's how fast information is happening. As much as people want to run away from it, acknowledge it. I'm grateful. I had to really, because I know a lot of my videos can seem like 13%. A lot of my videos and certain things can seem like I'm at odds with the generation before me. No, I carry that fucking DNA. I'm gonna get my mom, my grandma, and great grandma, and so forth. I carry it within me. I'm frustrated. They're frustrated because you don't realize your ancestors are betting on you. You gotta bet on you. They're betting on you to bet on your fucking self. And that's what I realized. Like it's like the more and more I become more secure in this, it agitates people. It irritates their unresolved shit within them, their demons, as they say. But it irritates their whatever it is going on within them by me standing in my truth, by me being. It can be, again, I said, intimidating or captivating. And that's how I'm being able to see. There's a time where, again, consistently growing up in environments where you were not reminded of your greatness, you were not reminded of what you're doing is captivating, monumental, magnificent. Man, I'm telling you, that's the thing about the mindset in this Virgo season, is having a grounded approach to where I don't give a fuck what y'all say and how y'all view me. Everything I'm doing is magnificent. It's miraculous. Even when I didn't have, the divine said, I don't want you to care about the finances. I'm going to place you through this situation so you can see the bigger picture. So you can see that you can someday build this and better. So you can someday ground I want you to learn more about your emotions in this space. Whatever that duration is, I've assigned you to this shelter. And I want you to be able to see what you need to see here. I want you to feel what you need to feel here. I want you to honor what you need to honor here. And that right there, nothing or no one can come along and take that from you or strip that from you internally. No one. See, the world has made y'all believe through fear-mongering shit that someone could just uproot and rip away everything that you have. That may be true for some. But let me tell you, no one can take what has been your birthright since you, before the dawning of age, before you incarnated here, before you came into this existence. Or no one can strip you of your essence. There is no timeline. There's no expiration date. This body may have an expiration date, but the beauty of even honoring your ancestors and those that came before you, they still did things monumental. I'm still in awe of the fact of my mom smoking crack so long and so forth, and she still got shit done. She didn't make the crack. She smoked it, but when you see how the powers that used to be, that powers that ain't, like things that were literally implemented to destroy, but literally the countering it was to progress a lineage. No matter what was thrown in there, no matter what wrench was thrown in there, no matter what spell was cast, no matter what was, seemed like it was delayed, nothing can stop the fucking divine order of everything. There will always be someone or something that comes even more powerful. And that's how I give it up to especially the youth that's coming up. They're not going for that shit. And if I wanted, it ain't even about choosing a side. If I had to be honest with myself, I would not lean towards a lot of these elders who are so self-righteous, who are so caught up in their generation and their generation only. They truthfully do not care to see us progress. And that's on them. Because they don't have compassion. Because religion don't teach them to have compassion. It keeps them closed-minded. I'm just going to be authentic. If they're not looking at the perspective of oneness, of the fact of how the feminine attributes are stripped, the origins of what the Bible and who created it, or just the women, I want to say this word right. Is it Sybil? Oh, I got to get that. But those that know how before a lot of these things patriarchally existed or were structured, they were first matriarchal. That's what I'm speaking about. Because that allowed me to return home to myself, is to learn more about, again, the connection to my mother, the connection to the mother womb, that what connects us all. Not just as much as the wounding, but the healing, and so forth. So again, that's how I'm able to recognize who fruit is of righteousness. When I don't care how people feel the fact that when I see preachers or certain people who I know that are of certain things, doing certain things, and women that are with them and so forth. Again, they may not know, but some do, and most do. And we're in the dawning of a new age and already structuring it. So with that, I'm honored to be a bridge. I don't give a fuck to be liked or accepted in a world full of con artists, in a world full of people who don't even know how to fucking be themselves. They only know the belief system of someone else. They don't care. They only want to have a focus on the belief system of what something ain't even that they ancestors are more outdated than. Then there's proof of earth, a realm, or even things scientifically that outdates religion. Man, please. No one gonna convince me to tell me I have to believe and accept those things. The world is changing. I'm glad that the youth and myself and people are questioning the fact that there is more things to life. To look at how many leaves are on a tree, to see seasons change, to realize that I also shift with the seasons, that I also change, and I'm allowed to. I don't have to have a belief system on whether you want to tell me something or not. No. And I came across a video, I came across something that was talking about the importance of even how, I don't like to use the term black, but it was very significant how it says, what's dangerous is not... You're thinking that a wounded man is more dangerous, and I can see this concept to where when we're realizing, as we change the narrative of how we're so used to seeing, let's say, in certain demographics, like a darker man, the dangers in him being wounded, and a mother being wounded, and so forth. But let me tell you something that's so honorable. I can see the dangers in that. But you know what's even more dangerous or even more alarming is a healing man, especially a darker one, who's choosing to heal his lineage, who's choosing to face the things patriarchal, matriarchally, and so forth, so that his lineage can progress, so that his sons and other sons that he may not biologically have, but energetically speaking, the little boys and girls that he see, who right now may not accept his message, but then as he progresses, who will probably have come into this more awareness of being geared to what's most authentic because of a man who did not hide himself from the world, who did not hide himself first from himself. So I tell myself, like, I'm honored to come along in this timeline, in this generation, in this world, to be a representation of not only at a time representing a wounded masculinity, but also a divine masculine. And that divine masculine is also, again, a bridge from a wounded femininity to a divine feminine. Because, again, the feminine and masculine principles. It's not just about gender. It's that in order for me to represent a divine masculine, there has to be a divine femininity as well. So there has to be, for just as a healthy outlook towards women, from that energy, is just as much as I had to learn how to have a healthy outlet towards myself. And see, that's the beauty of all of this, is that I realized that the fruit my mother was producing through her unconscious actions or through her unawareness of healing, is that she didn't realize that what she was producing or the effect she had was creating an extension of herself, son or daughters, was to have an effect. If someone didn't know that they were rotten inside, and then they will have an effect on everything around them, the fruit around them. So for me, I realized that when you look at the family tree, and when you create your own tribe and so forth, your family tree, that doesn't mean you are an extension of your ancestors. You are a continuance of the fruit that did not get to prosper, of the men who were unalive, of the women who did not get to bring forth a soul or a child, the men who were unalive who did not get to plant their seeds. You see, this shit is so miraculous, bro, that I'm able to do this. I'm able to continue it no matter what that child looks like externally. I know the values of that child because I know the values of myself. I know the value of her mother, the mother, their mother, and so forth, who at the core, when you really realize at the core of people, what are they holding on to? That's why I tell y'all, what the fuck is people belief systems at the core of who they are? Because you will always be in conflict when realizing that this warfare is of things spiritual, principalities, and so forth, who do not want to see humanity fucking evolve, your lineage evolve. So I ain't worried about shit, because as much as I want to sit here and be like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen from here? How am I going to get this? How am I going to get that? How, you know, and as you realize, the more you align and the more I recognize like the mother moon, and then that basically enables the healthy mother womb. I mean, the healthy mother. No, hold on. That mother womb enables for me to heal that mother aspect of myself. It allows me to recognize. I love this. It allows me to see the scars as something that's not horrible, but just a reminder of the fact of, you got through this. If you got through this, you'll continue to get through more. And so with that, that's how I'm able to recognize even the women that I present day talk to or connected with, and the reminders of like how I need to protect my fruit, and the extended part of me, which is, you know, the kids who have their individual parts, you know, in this role in the world, have their individual life and so forth. So, you know, from that perspective, is that it's amazing for us to recognize that yes, we are an extension of our ancestors and so forth. At the same moment, we are a continuance of things that are unresolved, suppressed, and repressed. And it's on us, especially as millenniums. It's on us, because we can no longer ignore that what did not work for us for the generations before, or the things that, you know, we're acknowledging now. Because again, there are elders that I respect, you know, and I'm not mad at. There are some that I could give two shits for because of the fact of they're stuck in their ways, but I still give them grace. There are others that don't have to have the same belief system. There are others that I know some who have a perspective on life where they still believe in spanking kids and stuff. I don't have to believe that, but we have a mutual respect, because they ain't gonna put their hands on me or my kids. That's another thing. But other than that, there are people who are conscious or have an awareness on things and are spiritual. But a lot of us are here to be a beacon of light in the world right now of darkness, or the beacon that is consumed by distractions right now. A lot of us are, again, waymakers, guides, however you want to see it, healers, current day healers. And for those who are healers, are very much realizing like the authenticity of knowing about what took you to initiate into being a healer or spiritualist and so forth. So yeah, other than that, I'm honored and grateful. I feel like that's everything I wanted to cover. Was that something else? Because, you know, I be going on and on. But yeah, that like, we have to recognize that even, again, a lot of these elders who are trying to still push this narrative, they're comfortable in their truths. They're comfortable in even their own lies. And that's the very thing they're gonna leave this world with. It's nothing to be angry at them with. That's the resistance that's gonna come with. I'm recognizing even in a country where, or an environment where they want to tell you, oh, you gotta do this to get this, or you gotta go about it this way. And that's where a lot of resistance comes in, because there's not a lot of support with certain things, or there's not a lot of there's very few who are genuinely supportive. There's a lot of things that, again, in the old world narrative, wants to keep your light dim, or keep you in a place of stagnation. And we have to recognize what we're being fed. We have to recognize who's feeding our kids. And I don't mean just fucking physically, I mean spiritually. We have to recognize, like, who and why has this going on, and then what are we here to do, and how are we going to do it. And that's the faith in the unknown. But everything always unfolds beautifully. I had to constantly remind myself, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be here to get this message. I'm supposed to be here to plant this seed to some people. And sometimes even eventually years go by, some people they'll come into their awareness, they'll spin the block, or they'll do what they do. But that doesn't mean you are accessible, because again, at a time where people could have supported, that was their lesson. That was their karma to clear, to experience more of a dharma or dharmic relationship with you, or harmonious and prosperous connection or lifestyle with you. And for some of you, that happens in relationships too, because even though energy unfolds, that energy still shows up in another person. And meaning that whatever's unresolved within you, you still carry into relationships. That's one thing I told myself, man, fuck this. This is it for me. I have to face these very things right now in this relationship with myself and with my partner, because what sense does it make to continue to go on in life? And I see people, even men or people, who make excuses not to be in their children's life. Well, again, that's your fruit. So how are you going to cry and bitch over some shit that you're not trying to face within yourself first, and then try to make it better, make better decisions for yourself, and then make it better for your seed? That goes for women too, because no one can outrun the fact that a lot of you are in certain situations because you're trying to outrun your karma, your lessons that are unresolved, ancestrally, collectively, and so forth. Yeah, because I'm telling you, man, like, I made decisions that wasn't the best due to the fact that I didn't know, or I probably didn't care. But now you can't outrun it. I was like, nah, a real one gonna know, man, ain't no shortcuts in this shit. Ain't no outrunning them emotions. Them shit's gonna come in like a wave. Ain't no outrunning them repressed memories. Ain't no outrunning those suppressed emotions and shit. Ain't no outrunning that. And that's how I know that my harvest is greater than I can even imagine, because that's the thing about doing the inner work. That's the thing about facing things that are unresolved, because you not only set up something for you, but you set up something for the generations after. That's a real nigga, a real niggas, an authentic person or man and or woman who's willing to truly face what's going on within them, so that whether they have kids or not, so that they can be a fruit that prospers, so they can be a fruit that has a light within them, or a seed within them that really shows people, I know you're not used to this. I know this is unfamiliar. That's where fucking integrity comes in, where a lot of people not used to. Yeah, it can get discouraged. I'll be like, bro, discouraged got courage in it. I have to be courageous through this shit. I have to realize, like, bro, when all the odds are stacked up against me and people wanted to count me, I realized them motherfuckers couldn't count. And no matter how much was stacked, them shits end up falling. And I was end up at the end of the day standing tall in my truth. So no matter what comes, I realized that it never gets close. It'll get as close. It'll get close, but it will not, no weapon formed shall prosper. Nothing formed against me. I've seen it. This thing still trying to, behind the scenes, people still trying to create narratives or whatever it is. But I look at it as free promotion. It's all how you counter whatever it is that's happening. I'm honored. Be grateful. Stay in gratitude. To have shelter, food, place, a partner. Cherish the very simple things, because I see people, I see families and stuff. It can all just be just like that. Whether through a natural disaster, whether through finances, whether through something. But can you have gratitude? One thing I've learned about even experiences through life and so forth is what's the attitude you have through that shit. I'm not saying don't have anger and emotions and be frustrated because due to unforeseen circumstances or whatever it is, but can you have an attitude of gratitude at the end of the day? Show your kids also a part of you that's angry or what you go through, but also show them that integrity is also being honest with yourself, showing them the versions of yourself that other people don't see. Meaning, in the comfort of your home, it's important for you to be yourself. And even out there, be yourself out there too. And that's the beauty that a lot of us are reclaiming our power again. It's like, listen, if I'm going to be a generational curse breaker or cycle breaker, and I'm going to produce this fruit that is righteous, guess what? I have a responsibility not only to myself, but to the fruit that I created. I have a responsibility first to them. And so then you begin to align with people who prioritize that. That's what's more valuable too. For those of you that have tribes, for those of you that have family, you mothers, all of that. As you start to evolve and heal and start to face things within yourself, it's important that you are able to be discerning in certain seasons of your life to realize why you're still trying to hold on to the narrative of that person. Why and then are you recognizing what's rooted in that energy? Is it reminding you of your mother wound that you are so much so trying to work through and navigate through and face? Is that woman a representation of your mother? Is that why you are connected to that relationship? Is that system, is that community? The reason why you want to stay so much is because you're so familiar with the traumas, the things that people show up and do. You watching that show. You let your kids watch this shit. You let da-da-da-da-da. It's so many things. And as I'm talking about this, it's just like I see mothers, how they talk to their kids and so forth, but don't realize, like, it's like you gotta hold grace, because it's like, wow, they don't realize, like, you're feeding this child a narrative of how all women are going to be, how women are supposed to be, and so forth. And yes, anger is a part of it, frustration and so forth, but a lot of us have been in fear-based connections, fear-based societies, fear-based communities, and so forth, where now we have to claim our power to realize, like, we are love beings at our core. We are fearless. It's okay to be scared to go through this shit, but you are fearless before you arrived here. Remind yourself of your childhood when you were fearless, when you would jump off some shit and your mama or somebody had to be there to remind you, like, hold on, player, we gotta be aware. That's how you have to be even now. And that's how, even with your childhood and your inner child. And I was telling the guy earlier, I was like, bro, you have people so disconnected, disassociated from the love, and haven't been around people who've been disassociated from the life of having fun, or disconnected from a foundation upon truth and honesty. So why are we surprised that people are acting as such or doing things? Why are we surprised that we are in an unevolved society or dealing with unresolved things for so long? Why are we surprised that people are still or having a mindset on what slavery is? Why are we surprised that people, this society and communities are still celebrating the same fucking things that kept people captive and controlled and manipulated? Consumerism, capitalism. Why are we surprised that these are themes? Why are we surprised that this shit is ritualistic? Why are we surprised that this was the programming at a point in time for all humanity? Why are we surprised that it's collapsing? Because we are recreating what a tradition is. With balance comes the fact of you can go live your life and then come see the family that you came through when you deserve to and when you desire. That's a balance. When you can go away and then return to the roots of where you come from, that don't mean you gotta forget about it. No, sometimes you have to go get you together. get you together, and then return and support others. That's one of the greatest things I've had to learn. I wasn't shown how to go get me together. I wasn't shown. We grew up in societies where we was taught to be so codependent on so much shit that we don't even know how to independently think for ourselves. We don't know. We are learning, have to unlearn. We did come from these things where we came from powerful matriarchal systems and so forth that connected us all to be independent thinkers, or even to be individuals but in a collective setting where we can live amongst each other, no matter what species, no matter what nationalities, no matter what race and culture, all that shit. This is how things have been used and abused to be distorted to create an imbalance. Now things are balancing. Why are we surprised? Some of us are the fucking balance. Some of us are the ones representing. Y'all keep calling it chosen. Yes, I could choose to be a wounded motherfucker every day. No, I choose to see the woundedness to be representation of a continuance of a man who chose to heal, a man who chose to be authentic, a man who chose to accept his role and be able to live out his authenticity without the world's validation or acceptance. And with that comes resistance. With that comes the uncomfortability of others not fucking liking you, accepting you, supporting you, and so forth. That comes with building from the inside out, where you realizing, like, that's where it starts. How am I gonna get this? How am I gonna get this? How? Let me ask myself. Let me look at myself, and then let me remind myself that, okay, it's something bigger than this. It's something greater. So I've been protected this long. I've been guided this long. There has to be something that I'm doing that is correct. It has gotten easier. It has got better. It has got lighter. Is it fair? No. Is it balanced? Yes. I'm grateful. That's a part of the human experience. Is where I start to realize, like, less can be more in these coming days, because again, from a society where we grew up prioritizing material things, you'll become to realize, like, less is going to be more. Virgo season is more about structure, organizing, and so forth, as it said. Get more clarity emotionally, mentally. Therefore, you start to let go of things. I see people day to day hold on to things and then collect more stuff, and I see the deeper, underlining, or silver lining or whatever, of like, wow, it got to be something else to that. So, anywho, I gotta get ready to go. Y'all take care of yourself. Peace and blessings. Shalom.